this is Isabel. So today's topic is what is the ideal time to stay within a company? I want to give you some orientation on how to make this decision because in the end it's a personal decision and I'm just giving you some orientation, again, some food for thought basically. So what you want to do is consider, how the world has changed. And to give you the context, now companies are looking for very agile, adapted to change types of individuals. So it used to be that staying for a long time was a positive, and even basically retiring from the same company that hired you was actually something that was very normal. I would say up until the turn of the century, but definitely now companies want these agile people, especially for people who are trying to elevate their careers, which is the topic of my channel. If you're looking for this career growth and constant change and constant stimulation for your career, you definitely want to watch out for where you stand right now. So the three tips I can give you, the first one is to look at what is your long-term goal. Are you trying to really continue developing and take new challenges, etc., or are you just trying to find something that you're happy with, that you're content with, and that will fulfill your needs? I always try to tell people to be careful because the grass is not always greener on the other side, and sometimes you can get some very good opportunities internally where you will find also the right balance, because I always tell people to take into consideration their personal situation. If you're married, if you have children, also, how far you have to drive for a job. Sometimes, even though you don't have the ideal situation, which is very hard to find nowadays, always look at, is the whole package actually good? So if you have, again, it's short to home, it's short distance to home, you have a lot of benefits, you have actually some interesting work. Maybe you have some potential to take some additional tasks also within the job. That could be a good resource rather than to jump boats and to end up in something that's going to be a little bit more challenging to manage. So again, look at your personal situation and find this content type of situation where it's going to be a better deal overall for you and your family than trying to go for something that may be more challenging at first, but that's also going to bring some complexity to your life, especially your family life. So I always try to tell people to think a little bit about that before they make a decision. Number two is, what is the typical standard for how long you should stay in a job? I would say that you don't want to stay too long, with the risk of not being marketable after a while, because you end up with one type of employer, one type of culture, and it's hard to get out of that. And at the same time, you don't want to be a serial switcher, which looks a little bit unstable. So just be a bit careful. I think the average would be 2 to 3 years. So if you stay 3 years with a company, you actually learn some great skills, and you've done some interesting work. This is the time to actually say, okay, is there something internal for me, or should I go and look elsewhere? If you are high potential, or someone who wants to definitely grow their careers and develop and all that, you definitely after 3 years want to ask yourself, where do I stand now? Am I excited about my task? Do I wake up happy in the morning, or do I want something a little bit different? So after 3 years, I would say, just have this conversation where maybe even with your manager, where you look at where you stand and what you want to do. And if you're not getting any career growth, if you're, not learning anything new, this is the time to actually send your resume to agencies and look at other things. So the 2 to 3 years, I think, is a good range, a good amount of years to be credible, but at the same time, you're not a serial switcher either. So of course, if you stay 1 month, 2 months with a company and you realize you don't like it or it doesn't work, it's harder than to put yourself back in the market and to be credible, because people will wonder why you never stay, where you're at. So just keep this right average of 2 to 3 years. And number three is to always keep yourself marketable. So what's going to make this career transition possible, to look at something different every 3 years, is that you have kept up your skills. So sometimes one of the pitfalls of staying with a company too long is that you become comfortable, you have your comfort zone basically. So you come every morning, you know exactly what you need to do. I've been in this space where I had comfortable jobs. Usually this is not something that I enjoy in general because I get bored and I need this newness or this learning new things all the time. So if you're in that situation where you're comfortable, you know everything you're supposed to do, and I had clients who were in that stage too, and they didn't enjoy it, this is the time actually to say, okay, you know, I'm not getting anything from this job and it's boring and this is not right for me. I think if you're that type of person who needs to learn new things, who's always liking to get the challenge, etc., it's not going to work well for you. You're not going to be happy. So again, it's all about what makes you happy. Some people are very happy having those kinds of jobs and can keep them for a very long time, and you know, they don't want the hassle of too much complexity. But if you're someone who likes that challenge, it's the good time for you to say, okay, maybe I need something new. I need to look elsewhere. I need to start sending my resume, because you only have one life. And again, I think everything is acceptable as long as you're okay with it. You know, I have people that I know that are very good friends of mine who stay in jobs they don't really like, but they like the comfort more. So they choose comfort over stimulation and over achievement and all that. And it's fine. I think everybody is in a different stage of what they want. But if you're someone who's really looking for that challenge, I think after 3 years, you should definitely stay, especially if you're in that stage when you're bored. You know, if you want to be credible with a new employer, you don't want to stay too long in that boredom phase, because after a while, you know, you haven't really worked on your skills because you're not motivated. You kind of become this complacent type of person, and it's going to be hard to have the energy to be great during the interview process. So I hope this was helpful. Again, feel free to comment. I will talk to you soon.